Holy f***, I'm good at chess right now. Oh, I'm so good right now. That was an absolute joke how good that was. That is a modern masterpiece.
Ooh, this is one of the most ridiculous moves of 2025. Truly a modern masterpiece. How does he do it? It's Magnus Carlsen playing Entitled Tuesday, slurping on a big bowl of noodles, drinking Viking-sized water, and smashing his opponents out of the park using openings like this, the modern defense. Played in this modern masterpiece, very fitting. Online chess, all the best chess players in the world in one online tournament. His opponent is the Frenchman, Jules Massard. He's playing with white. He takes the center. This is round 4. The match was played on the 18th of November. Magnus tucks this bishop into bed here. Lovely banana hammock he's built. And now this bishop should go to e2. Instead, it goes to d3. Now when Magnus develops with a whoosh sound effect hitting the knight, you've got some problems because the natural development continues, big pressure on the centre, and with the bishop standing here, the queen can't defend, so it backs up. Coach is not happy. At least the pawn's defended. Knight f6. d5 is one of the strongest moves, but very often you want to maintain the centre. You know, with great space comes great responsibility. h3 instead played, captured. Bishop recaptures here, and look at those bishops now. They're a bit stymied by the pawn structure. This is the thing. With all 8 pawns on the board here, although white's got the legendary bishop pair, the knights do well here too. Maneuvering, closed position. White plays in the modern way, gaining huge space. Love the maneuver on the way. Magnus goes for the classic counterplay, and now Jules whispers, "Do you even rook lift, mon frère?" as he brings that rook into the game here, preparing to target that sensitive point. You can play pawn b6 here and go for this structure, especially with f4 on the way, kicking away the bishop that's pressuring. It's a different game. We're in the back cave. Let's stick with what happened. Magnus covers the pawn, and now Jules is practically begging for a draw. Don't take and defend the bishop. Of course, your rook can't stay there for long, and then you lose a piece. So instead, we saw the bishop back up. Queen c8 to now cover the pawn, not repeat the position. Queen d3 from white. And now, the prodigal son returns home. Dad's absolutely ashamed. What are you doing back here, you massive loser? Go and get a job. Now we see queen c4. I can't always keep it together. Bishop h6, that one hits too close to home. And Magnus is going for this classic positional idea of trading one of the bishops. Plus his own dark squared bishop is staring at a pawn structure. So takes was played. Pawn recaptures, taking on h6 best to sideline the knight a bit. But we get Chewbacca's favourite move, the Wookiee one. Now takes here, rook takes back, and rook b8. Curver in the base, freeing the queen for action. Queen h4 looks aggressive, but where's the rest of the army? This guy is a bit far away. Pawns are pushing. Now we get queen e8, and something goes badly wrong here, because after rook b4, Jules begging for a draw once more. Magnus covering the pawn now with his seahorse. You should go bishop h5, but missed. Knight e2 maneuvering. And now after queen e7, we get the fateful moment. Surely you don't... He's done it. He's only gone into a queenless endgame with Magnus Carlsen. The audience is going nuts. Look at Terence down in Wyoming. He knows what Magnus is capable of from here. Knight recaptures, and it sets up this mini threat of pawn e4 and then winning this pawn. So we see c4 to cover. I've got to show you one line. Top engine move g3 or even king h2. And it's like, what? Hang on. I kick you. You retreat. I win a clean pawn. I fork your rooks. Surely, no. There's knight f4. Covers the pawn. And after takes, this is why you're winning back your piece. And even after black gets the e-file, because you're not actually mating the white king, this is a better endgame. I mean, no one sees this stuff, but I found the line fascinating, especially because this very natural move supporting the centre is given the question mark. But that's why no one finds the real reason in human chess why it's a mistake. Now we see rook b8 covering that base once more, preparing this guy for action, maybe push. Knight c1, not the best, but looks to challenge this strong piece. Now we get pawn b6, and after takes, surely you recapture with pawn, with rook, something like that, like a normal person. No. We get pawn a5. Magnus on fire with the tricky dicky moves. This is his point, so you can't keep munching. Rook b5 played. Now rook takes. Take me. I take you. Whoops, I take you. Different game. Magnus constantly asking these micro questions. This is how the game proceeded here. Now we get rook a3. Great defensive move, by the way. Looks for b4 soon, potentially. And after king g7, bishop e2, it's Magnus first to the punch in the centre of the board, using his pawn mass. And with f4 on the way, that would spell danger, danger, danger for white. Look at the minor pieces at that point, and the rook, super constricted. So this is actually the best fight back move. Now surely you take here en croissant. In some countries it's actually forced, like here on Herd Island. These lads actually have to play en passant if it presents itself on the board. If you don't do so, your ration of fish is likely to get cut, plus your export tariff could increase. So they would be taken all day long, but Magnus doesn't do it. This is actually good for black. Classic case of great knight, bad bishop, game goes on. But instead, Magnus goes pawn a4. Not the best, as you can see. He wants to stop the pawn chain though. You'll see his idea, pawn b5. And he's saying, take here please, so I can take here. Actually, this is the best way for white to play, apparently. You can liquidate the b-pawn. This is one sample. This is dangerous. This is weak. But it's a game. Different game. Not played. Instead, we get the stinker. Pawn to b4. Nasty move, because you don't need to ask Magnus to take twice en croissant. Bellows it in his best French accent against the Frenchman. We love it. Knight takes, but here's the tactical problem that Jules has missed. It's this pawn push. And before you can snivel and cry at the fact that you've just blundered, you have to make a move or you're going to lose on time. So the rook now saves itself. Have you not just lost an entire piece? Well, yes, but then takes here. You're just hanging on in the game. Magnus understands, though, this endgame is very good for black. Understatement, it's winning. Better minor piece. Passed pawn. Two of them. What to do? Bishop dropping back. Pawn b3. And the pierre de resistance on this game is on the way. g4 just played. Trying to break up the pawns. Can't quite munch. The knight covers. But you get the idea. But Magnus doesn't take. Magnus doesn't push. Magnus doesn't move the king. See if you can guess what Magnus plays in this position. Just the most unreal stockfishy move. Even at depth 100, Stockfish doesn't find it. They brought in a team of NASA scientists, couldn't find it. Brought in the army. They even brought in Sandra, the chess-playing orangutan from Manhattan. She couldn't find it. Unreal move. Can you guess what Magnus played? Pawn h5. I mean, wow. What is the idea of that move? If captures not played, well, you've simply given this king a lovely avenue round and into the position. Plus, you're still getting trousered. It's the common theme, right? Where does the king go now? c2. Then this goes through by force. Do you step here? Whoops, here. Well, then this goes through still by force. These are the overriding themes, that the pawns are just too powerful in combination with the knight. king marching round if ever needed. Incredible chess, really. G5 was tried.
Holy f***, I'm good at chess right now.
B2 first, apparently best, but Magnus starts with this. Ignore the question mark. Now after king d4, he goes with this, bishop c2, and he just rattles off this winning plan here. So easy for him. If you take now, well, of course, then this pawn goes through, so you can't. So here we see the king step back, but now knight e1 hits the bishop, saved, and he goes with check here. He is simply winning the f-pawn by force. The king couldn't stay with it. Check. King takes. Sorry, king didn't take. Same difference if the king had taken. Magnus lands the winning move. Can you find the cleanest one here? Knight takes on d5. I mean, okay, knight takes here winning. Pawn e3 winning. But I like this one. If you take, as we saw in the game, then the pawn pushes, and here we saw resigns. You can't stop both pawns. Obviously, the king can never get back. You're a tempo behind. And if you do this, we'll pick your way to win. Here's one example, and there's a one endgame. Incredible modern masterpiece by Magnus. Hope you loved that one, and do check out Lotus Chess, link down below if you want to learn the awesome modern defense. It's an incredible opening, so much fun. Thanks a lot for watching, and have a look at the video on screen for some more epic chess. Cheers.